Okay, so at this point you should have completed your pretest. It should be done, and we're just going to check over the answers. So if you look at the first one, you have the years and the population of a small town. And years is time, so you should know that that's independent and population's dependent. So in order to get this linear regression data, and then it tells you to round the slope and y-intercept to the nearest whole number, you need to get out your calculators and put in your data. So hopefully you know that you have to hit stat to get line 1, line 2, and then you hit enter. Now, as I told you when we were going over our homework, these years represent a moment in time. So you have to change this to year 0 and then onward. So this is going to be year 0, and that's going to be year 1, and that's going to be year 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. And that you'll see I have that here, 0 through 6, and I actually have to year 7. Okay, and then your population goes in line 2, which is your y. Now it's important you make sure that you double check and make sure all these numbers are in correctly, because if your number is even off by 1, your equation will be off as well. So once we have our data in there, we're going to hit start, stat, go over to calc, and we want to go down to number 4. And then it gives us linear regression, and we hit enter. And so it told us to round to the whole number. So I should have y equals, or they're using f of x as a function. This will round to 390x plus 21,854. They rounded to 55. Okay, so I see I have a problem here. This says 2,185. Mine would round to 54. So because those don't match, I'm going to go back to my stat and make sure I didn't put something in wrong there. So if I go back and check my numbers, I have 21,359, 22903, but it should be 22906, and that's my problem. So I want to change that to 22906. All right, now let's see if that helps. Stat, calc, 4. And there we go. So you see how just being off by a little bit changed my number? I would have put 21,854, and it really should be 55. And then X represents the number of years since 2003. And rewrite that because we changed that to 0. Okay, and then it also wants to know the R factor down here. Now we turn our diagnostics on in class, but if you're using the computer calculator, it turns it off every time unless you save it. So remember, we go to second catalog. We want to turn diagnostics on to get this R factor. So I want to go down to the D's. So I hit alpha D. I go down to diagnostic and hit that, and then it's not on yet. I have to hit it again before it says, and then it says done. Good. Now I want to go back here and find the R factor. What does it tell me? Well, if I go back and do my stat calc again, I can get to my R factor. And here the R factor is 0.942. And so they're asking, is that a good correlation of the line? And it should be a good fit because the best R factor is 1, and so it's almost to 1. Okay, so that should be B. C asks for the year 2020. Well, remember, we made this year 7, so that's going to be in 10 more years. So that should be year 17. And years is in your line 1 or your X column. So we know we need to replace the X with 17. So once you replace that, you should get 28,485. And I would be happy with the equation that said, or a sentence that said, in year 2020, the population was 28,485. All right, 2 should have been pretty self-explanatory. You have $150 to spend $335 for sweaters and $25 for pants. So I feel pretty confident that most of you guys did that right in your pretest to begin with. So this one, she wants to sell 3 sweaters, so we have to plug in 3 for S and solve, and you get 2.25. And then you need a sentence. If Holly buys 3 sweaters, the Brae's number of pants she can buy is 2. She can't go that over 2, otherwise she'll exceed her limit. All right, and then C, no pants, we put 0 in for P, so that would be approximately 4.29 sweaters. So if Holly buys no pants, the greatest number of sweaters she can buy is 4. Okay, this we did in class today. Solve for circumference for R. So you should have known that here's R. I want to get rid of 2 pi. It's 2 times pi times R. The opposite of multiplying by 2 is dividing. So we divide this side by 2 pi, and we divide this side by 2 pi. Those cross off, leaving you with R here, and then you have C over 2 pi. Write in standard form. Again, standard form is AX plus BY, this is hard to write with, equals C. So X and Y are on the same side. So all I want to do is get this to the other side. And we worked on this in class today. So I'm going to add 1/4 X, because negative 1/4 X and positive 1/4 X equals 0. And I got to add it to this side. So that makes it a little bit less sloppy. We have 1/4 X. Y is positive, so it becomes plus Y equals 3. And then we know that A has to be a positive number. So 1/4, I got to get rid of the denominator, which is 4. So I have to multiply everything by 4. So those 4's cross off, and that leaves you 1x, or just x. 4 times y makes it 4y. And then 3 times 4 gives you 12. And that's how they got their answer there. Okay. And then here, this one is slope-intercept form. You should know slope-intercept form is y equals mx plus b. So very simply, I need to get this 2x over there. So we subtract the 2x here, and that gives you 0. And we subtract the 2x here. And this is kind of the most confusing part right here. We talk about how this isn't like terms, so we just need to write that out. So I'm going to rewrite my 3y here equals, and I like to put the net x first so it's in this order. So negative x, and then 9 is positive, so plus 9. And then the last step would be to get rid of the 3, so we divide by 3 here. So those cross off, and that leaves you y equals negative 2/3 x plus 3. And on your test tomorrow, I will ask you to tell me what is the slope. So negative 2/3 is in the m position, so you'll be able to tell me that. And then I'll ask you for the y-intercept, and you'll have to be able to tell me that the y-intercept is 0, 3. Okay? And on to the last part. Let's get rid of that. We didn't do this part, right? We just went to there. Okay. So I want you to go back and look at if you got any of these areas wrong. And then look back over in your skills book in those areas. Some things that you have to know is you have to be able to identify slope and y-intercept. You have to be able to tell me those equations. And the other thing I want to point out that you'll need to do is this last part here. You will have to be able to find your intercepts, and actually it'll probably more look like this problem here. You need to be able to find the x and y intercepts and plot it and graph it. And that's pretty much what the test is on. So go back to your pretest, look in any areas you had trouble with, then go back to your skills book and find that part that we did, and work on those areas. And if you can do all those things, you'll be good for the test tomorrow, and I think you guys are going to do well. Really work on those y-intercept to slope problems. And that should be good, and it'll be a happy Halloween.